Today I'm going to share with you a story of how studying abroad changed my life. I am a Singaporean, and through the totality of my student career, I had two separate opportunities to study abroad. The first one being when I was in my undergrad, where back in 2014, I had the opportunity to participate in one semester of university exchange program at University College Dublin in Ireland. And throughout that one semester of studying abroad in Europe, I had the opportunity to not only meet tons of new friends in Ireland and travel across many countries in Europe. And my second studying abroad experience was back in 2019 when I decided to come to the US, come to Cornell Johnson to pursue my full-time MBA with the goal of working in the US after I graduate. And in this particular video, I'm going to primarily talk about my university exchange experience in Europe, as this study abroad experience materially changed my overall mindset and outlook on life, career, and many other going forward decisions that I made in my life. And I will share with you the full story just in a bit. Make sure to watch till the end of the video, as I will be sharing some really cool cinematic drone footage that I captured in Switzerland from my recent trip over there. So moving on to why this study abroad experience changed my life. First of all, it forced me to become a more extroverted person overall and a more sociable person as well. So growing up in Singapore, being rarely out of the country before, I have always been an introverted person. I'm not someone who actively try to make new friends or to meet new people when going into a new environment. Firstly, because I have not been in a new environment that often. So growing up in Singapore, I've always more or less mixed with the same group of friends that I had in middle school all the way to high school and college. I kind of stayed in a fixed bubble of friends and just did not really took the effort to meet new people or expand my social circle. And when I eventually went to Ireland for my exchange program, this was basically the first time in my life that I did not know anyone going in, being in a new country, in a new university, in a new environment. So that initially gave me quite a bit of anxiety. There wasn't that many Asians in my exchange university to begin with. And even with the very few Asians that I met in school, they already have their own group of friends. So I was basically alone in the new university. And of course, at some point, I can't be doing everything alone. I need to start to know people. So basically, I forced myself to join a lot of school events, a lot of school trips, and also proactively start talking to people, start introducing myself in the class in hope of meeting a couple of friends over there. And being an introvert, this was definitely not an easy experience for me. And over time, as I start to actually make friends, it gave me a lot more confidence. And this actually allowed me to become more and more extroverted and sociable, whereby whenever I go to a new environment, a new school event, I was able to comfortably walk up to people and strike a meaningful conversation. And throughout this one semester of studying abroad experience, it really trained me to become a more extroverted and sociable person. And I was able to take away these qualities even after my exchange. When I entered the workforce or in just general social setting, I became way more keen to meet new friends, just get to know people, and build a meaningful rapport with anyone I meet. I strongly believe that these qualities that I learned from my exchange will benefit me immensely in the long run. Because no matter what field of career you are in, the ability to communicate well and build a meaningful rapport with your co-workers will always benefit you and give you an advantage. The second point I want to share is that studying abroad trained me to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So studying abroad is a very unique experience, and is also an experience filled with ups and downs, especially going into a foreign country, going across continent to a new environment that you have never been to before. You'll be definitely faced with tons of uncertainty and being put into a lot of uncomfortable situation. The prime example will be traveling. So many of us, when we study abroad, we will take the opportunity to do quite a bit of sightseeing and traveling. We will be faced with things like flight delays, train being cancelled, language barrier, things get stolen and lost, and just other cultural differences. The same applies to when I had to adapt to new food, things I have never eaten in my life, or just go into a new school, trying to learn their culture, trying to understand how everything works. This was exactly the place for me, and initially it was definitely not the most comfortable experience because I just felt that there was no way I can figure out everything. And over time I realized that being uncertain and uncomfortable is completely fine. And honestly, throughout the totality of this experience, it allowed me to handle stress a lot better, whereby whenever I was put in a stressful situation, I do not really feel stressed, where most of the time I am actually completely fine with being uncertain, and I know that at some point I will gradually figure things out. The next thing I want to share is that studying abroad transformed me to become a way more knowledgeable person overall. So growing up in Singapore, being in the bubble that was basically the entire world that I see, right? Although I roughly knew how rest of the world works through learning from the classroom, watching TV or watching videos online, this was nothing compared to me actually venturing out to a new continent and experience the culture, the world that it is, through my eyes, through my first-hand experience. So when I was in Europe, I traveled and visited various different countries, made tons of new friends with the people from each of these countries. This experience of getting to know people, learning their culture, learning their mindset really broadened my mind. And it was impossible to describe how much more knowledgeable I felt after my studying abroad experience. And I was able to carry this knowledge with me through the rest of my journey. And many of times these experiences proved to be really meaningful, where I was able to strike meaningful conversations with colleagues and senior co-workers coming from other countries, whereby there are way more common topics to talk about with the people I met. And it made building rapport with new people a lot easier. The last thing I want to share is also by far my most important takeaway from my studying abroad experience is that studying abroad helped me discover my goals in life by giving me a basis of comparison. So growing up in Singapore, the only life that I know of is studying really hard to get into a good university, which will help me to secure a good corporate job after I graduate, work diligently for the next 30 to 40 years in hope of earning enough money to retire comfortably. And that is basically the path that I see everyone takes. Not to say that there's anything wrong about that, but basically being in the small world that I was back in my home country, that was the only path in life that I ever knew of. I did not really know what other options are out there. I did not have a basis of comparison and really know what is my goal in life. And studying abroad, experiencing a whole new different lifestyle and traveling across various countries, seeing how other people live their life was the first time in my life that I really knew that other paths in life exist. And I was able to experience firsthand and have a basis of comparison to actually know that what is the kind of life that I want to live in future. For example, I met this couple in Greece who run a beautiful restaurant by the seaside and live a really laid-back life away from the corporate world. And I also met this couple who run a bed and breakfast business in a small town in Italy away from the big city, and they were really happy with the life that they live. When I was traveling across smaller villages, I also met people who choose to live in a farm, having the freedom to kind of just live by their own schedule. I even met tons of travel influencers, travel vloggers who were really passionate about traveling and basically travel as their full-time career, and they plan to do so as long as they can. Basically, my main message is that studying abroad really presented me with this perspective, this various kind of lifestyle that I never experienced before. I actually now have the basis of comparison to know what my long-term goal is. And that was one of the main reasons why I eventually came to the US to study my MBA and work in the US, because I know that this path that I am taking aligns with my long-term goal in life. One of the main reasons I started this YouTube channel was to inspire many of you watching through my own life story and experiences, and to really encourage you to venture out to discover what your goal in life is. Hope you enjoyed my story, and next up I'll be sharing some really cool cinematic drone footage that I captured in Switzerland, and stay tuned.